it's really the most fascinating thing happening in currency markets at the moment. Japan, because of yield curve control, is importing the volatility in the U.S. macroeconomy. The sharp increase in inflation and aggressive Fed rate hikes are putting a lot of depreciation pressure on the yen. Ultimately, we think this policy mix is not really sustainable. All the G10 central banks, except the Bank of Japan, are in the process of normalizing monetary policy. Unless that process is done, unless we're heading quickly into recession and bond yields are done going up globally, the Bank of Japan is going to need to make a change at some point. So last week, they stayed on hold with their current policy settings. We think maybe just delaying the inevitable here, and the Bank of Japan is going to have to allow interest rates to rise. Otherwise, it'll be faced with outsized depreciation pressure on the yen. We don't think the government is going to be willing to tolerate the sort of yen depreciation that maintaining yield curve control would require. So over the coming months, my own guess, we do see some kind of change to the yield curve control framework in Japan. And this should help the yen find a bottom, or dollar yen begin to top. That would be my expectation.
Well, when you say some kind of change, can you be a bit more precise? Because they're not just going to remove the yield curve control entirely. They're going to tweak it, presumably. I mean, well, how do you see it moving?
Well, what we've seen in the past is changing of the limits. Now, there's a whole menu of options that the central bank could look at, of course, but their behavior in the past suggests that the path of least resistance is just widening the yield curve control ranges. So say from 25 basis points today to something like 50 basis points. And I would stress that the swaps market is already pricing some kind of outcome. And we saw something very similar in Australia when the RBA backed away from yield curve control. The market priced it in well in advance, and the market, in a way, is already pricing this type of change from the Bank of Japan.